All right, joined by Xander Schauffele. Xander, I think about some of the strengths of your game, right? What you really, are the hallmarks of your game, the pillars of your game. And when you think about driving, recently, what are some of the main things with driving that you really kind of look to with setup and the main qualities?
I'd say I'm just hitting it a little bit further than before. Out here, it's if you're not hitting it, you know, at least what feels like 300 in the air. You're sort of losing out on. Even if you hit in the fairway, if you're in the fairway 275 all day, you may not gain as many shots as you thought, unless the rough is 10 inches long or a foot long. So I feel like hitting it a little bit further has helped. It's allowed me to sort of attack par fives a little bit more aggressively, and in some of these long par fours, I can get not a scoring club in, but just being able to execute a shot to the center of the green becomes easier. Hitting a 7 or 8 iron instead of a 6 or 5 makes a world of difference.
And as you're hitting shots into greens, like what typically are your kind of triggers? Is there kind of something that kind of gets you into your routine, or how do you kind of begin to visualization, stepping into an iron shot?
It's been the same for a bit. My normal routine is to find an AMI spot. For the most part, though, depending on where the pin is, I'll usually either try to cut or draw it, moving it from the center of the green to the pin. So, and wind being, if the wind's where it should be or where you think it is, it makes it easier to execute a shot. But for the most part, I play from the center of the green to the pin and just try to work on shaping it the correct way.
Right. And when you talk about shaping, are you going club face is kind of the main way to shape it, or how's your setup for that?
Yeah, a little bit of that. Just aim and path and a little bit of club face. Pretty much the same way most guys do it.
With chipping around the greens recently, what typically are you going over? What's kind of your process with chipping? Because you need to have all the shots. But
yeah, I think a big part of chipping that people don't really talk about is sort of where you're leaving it. If you're to hit a shot, multiple times in a row, you need to make sure that it's one that's doable. All of us can hit a 1 in 10 shot close, but that's the reason it's a 1 in 10, because the other 9 times you might leave it short of the green or in a bunker, or hit it over the green or do something crazy. So I think leaving yourself in a really good position coming into the hole is important, and that can sort of help your chipping stats a lot.
Well, speaking of stats, I know the bounce back stat is usually pretty good for you. In U.S. Opens, you play so well in those, and I think about what is it with your attitude that you're able to bounce back?
Yeah, it just ticks me in if I make a mistake. Sometimes in U.S. Opens, you can. It's weird to say, but you can make a good bogey. So sometimes you make a good bogey in a U.S. Open, you feel like you have momentum, and sometimes you're playing a U.S. Open and it's so hard, and you make a bogey that you shouldn't have, you 3-putt or something of that nature, and it just fires me up personally a little bit to go and get that one back, because it was a wasted opportunity.
I know your putting stats have been particularly good this year, really ranking really high. What is it about putting right now that seems to be working for this season for you?
Yeah, I came off my best putting year last year, and just was reading the greens pretty well. I'd say my speed and reads were pretty decent, and I think that all of us have our mirrors and plates and tees and alignment sticks and everything, and that's typically a lot of it's for making sure ball's starting on line. So at the end of the day, you have to read it correctly and get the speed right, or it's going to be impossible to find the hole.
For sure. And I know final round scoring average, when you look at, you rank pretty high there as well. What's worked for you for final rounds?
Yeah, it's sometimes sometimes you feel freed up. It's a final round of the tournament. You feel like you've left some shots out there, and mentally you feel like you just need to go out there and sort of catch up and get the job done.
And then lastly, the last couple things, Olympics. Like, how much is that a drive for you?
Yeah, it's a big driver. I don't think a whole lot about it, to be honest. I still need to qualify, and it's pretty far away still. So making top 4 on the U.S. side is really difficult, and all I can think of is to just qualify.
Yeah, you played in that final group at the Players. What is it about final groups? Birkdale. You really have a good experience there. How do you draw on that with big events?
Yeah, I've done it a few times now. Haven't clutched up enough times, but to me, I always as many times as I can give myself the chance. I know I'm going to get the job done eventually, and Jack has so many second place finishes that people don't really talk about too much of, and to me, it's like you need some experience in those tough moments to be able to pull through.
Always appreciate your time, Xander. Thanks, buddy.